Making the case for HRX. All right, no more songs in the intro. What am I doing? Let's just talk about the teams. Obey Alliance is the one I'm making the case for in this time, and I don't think it's going to be that difficult. Obey look really strong in the placement stage. They're the top seed there, which makes them the 5th seed overall at DreamHack, and they've got Pretty Prime. Mission accomplished. They were able to have what sounds like a very healthy baby early enough where Prime was still able to travel. And can I just say much respect, by the way, if you have to make that call, whether or not you're going to be here, you know, supporting your coworkers and your friends or be there with your family, it's tough. And Prime was very willing to make the right call, I think, and be there for his family. It didn't have to go that way, but again, much respect just for, you know, being ready to make that call. So with Prime here, Obey are absolutely a tough team. The first match is up against Splice, and I think there's a chance that they could absolutely run over this team and make their way on through the bracket. If you disagree with me, if you think the bracket's going to look way differently, you'll have a chance to let me know. I'll have the link in the description down below for you to fill out your own bracket the same way that I'm going to be doing. I'll be sharing who wins at the end of it, so if you want to show me that you know a little bit more, go make sure you click on it. Also, I'm doing videos for everybody else, all the other teams. Those are trickling out throughout the weekend. We're on Obey now, so the other 4 should have come out. Hopefully you watched those. You didn't skip right to Obey. If you did, finish this and go back to the others. But if not, I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I think from Obey. I think they have a good chance to beat Splice. Honestly, I think as much as I love Splice, and Aurora's my favorite player, I think they go home here, and they've had a great fall split, but I think Obey wins this first match up. Prime looks so good right now, so does Cuvo for this team. I'm going to go do player specifics in a moment, but I'm going to talk kind of big picture about why I think they can win their matchups. I do think they have the stronger mid-jungle with Cuvo, not with Cuvo Fred, sorry, but with Pretty Prime and Captain Twig instead of a Sino Moswald. I think that is an area that could potentially be exploited on Splice, despite how good they looked online in Fall Split North America. It's a totally different thing when you come to LAN for the first time. A good chance they could lose there. Then they'd be going up against, I think, Dignitas pretty easily in the next matchup. Another very tough one, but this is a team they know very, very well. I'm sure they scrim all the time. We saw them playing in the online phase as well, and Obey has shown that this is a team that they can beat. Dig was better than everyone online. They almost always are. But for some reason at LAN, they kind of have a hard time closing things out. And I mean Dignitas by that. I think Obey certainly have a chance. Remember, they've brought 2 people to Worlds, to finals, and they just can't seem to close it out. This team is hungry. They absolutely want this win. I think that Obey can do it. I think that if Obey wins semifinals, if they beat Dignitas, they're the favorite, whoever comes on the other side of the bracket. I think they subsume the #1 seed, if you will. And I think they're the only team where that's true from the top end of the bracket. That isn't Dignitas, right? Like Spaces and Splice, if they win against Dig, I don't think they're suddenly the #1 seed. Obey, it feels that way, because who's next? A weakened Energy, a very good United team, yes, and a rival team that's slightly less consistent in fall, and I don't think that we'll see Trifecta make it past United. So I think that Obey, if they win the semis, are the favorite in finals. I think it is easy to pick them over anyone from the lower bracket, if they're able to make it that far, which I think there's a very good chance that they could. I think then it would be them up against United, and for me then that matchup would come down to Baskin and Prime, which I think might favor slightly United, but then when you factor in the rest of the team, then you might give Obey a slight edge. But I think it'd be very, very close. That would be a hype finals, right? The defending champions up against the team that always seems to get this close and just can't close it out, right? So hopefully that would be a chance for the boys to grab the wins. Let's talk about those players in particular. Remember, Prime almost didn't make it. The player that almost wasn't. Again, much respect for that process, and I'm so impressed that they were able to remain focused, to find time to scrim both with Prime and with Flippo to make sure they'd be ready for this event. Very impressive from those two. But it's not just Prime. Captain Twig has looked excellent lately, hasn't he, in the jungle for them? And there's so many picks that I feel like favor them. I've been saying it throughout these videos, but I think that having a very strong jungler right now is about the best thing that you can have, because it's so hard to ban them out effectively. There's so many jungle high priority picks right now that you can't afford to ban all of them. And as long as Twig is playing as well as we've seen him play, then he can definitely set up Prime. They force you to ban out Odin because you know Prime will play Zeus and Lightning Storm you to death if you're stuck inside the cage. Xaylia stepped up, especially in the finals of the placement round. He looked great. I think that you even heard himself say, you know, maybe I didn't play that well throughout the entire event, but he was glad to be someone who could win it for the team for them in the end. So he's a bit of a wild card. I don't think Xaylia will lose you the game, but very rarely does he win it. But sometimes he can. Sometimes Xaylia just pops off. He still can pick weird stuff that you don't expect. He's still an old school player who's been around for a long time and brings that experience where some other players might not have it. I don't think you can overlook Xaylia. The real thing for me, though, is this duo lane. Sometimes Ataraxia looks like a #1 hunter, and sometimes he looks like a #8 hunter. I don't know how much of that has to do with maybe sometimes Raffish has some struggles because he plays very aggressively, or if it's just an Ataraxia thing. But if they get the Ataraxia that we saw in placements, then they can win for sure. As long as he's playing consistently well, this team has a great chance, and they need Raffer to stay alive. Raffer is a huge boon when he's playing well, and a huge detriment when he's too far forward and dying all the time. So either he needs to be good bait, and even if he's 0-8 and 12, the rest of the team needs to have no deaths, or he needs to live through some of those crazy scenarios he puts himself in and bait perfectly for Prime and Twig. Either way, I think Obey could very easily win this event. If they beat Dig in the upper bracket, if they make it to that match, I think they're the favorites in the final. And maybe you disagree with me. If you do, let me know with your bracket. Click on the link in the description. Make sure you check out my other videos. I'm releasing them parsed out, leading all the way up to DreamHack. And make sure you actually watch. We're on all platforms. We're everywhere. Wherever it is that makes more sense for you to watch it just to make sure that you don't miss out on a moment of the action. Obey, we're going to need your help, especially since we're saying adieu to the org after this. So thank you for checking it out.